G'day, Ian here again from Fpv-Power. What do we have? We have a beautiful Melbourne's day, and what we're going to show you today is a finished product. You would have seen a short interview with Ian, also Ian as well. There's another gentleman called Ian, our customer. We're replacing his lead acid, his Trojan lead acid, 12 volt with a 12 volt lithium ion phosphate, 450 amp hour, our FPV battery, which is upgrading from his Trojan American made, good quality, deep cycle lead acid. So I'm putting that nice foam underneath so we don't scratch the beautiful custom built. Give you a quick run through on the comparison. He had 440 amp hour at 12 volt, deep cycle, and it weighs him just over 130 kilos, okay? And the space it took was one of this bay. Basically he had one battery there. He had two batteries for the same size. He had a 6 volt, 6 volt, 6 volt and 6 volt. So basically essentially he had two. The volume of this times two was what he had in his motorhome. And it was a custom built bay, stainless steel frame underneath the floor. So you pop the floor open and the batteries were there. So we only utilized one of the bay. So the other one is spare. He can actually put another 450 if he wanted. So the size he had was twice of this, right? That's what we had to work with. We're only using half of it. And the size of this case is 260 by 360 millimeters and 240 as the height, showing us the H. And it's a 12 volt, 450 amp hour. And this has been custom built for the space, as you can see. And we've used 304 stainless steel. Why? Because he is going underneath. He could be exposed to the elements, well, not so much the rain, but more underneath, whatever is going through underneath the car, the air, water, moisture. So this is all built to specs, and we did it within a time frame that he needed it. So at 450 amp hour, 12 volt lithium ion phosphate, the weight is 38.4 kilos. 38 kilos. Beautiful spotlight handle there, and it's definitely heavy. I mean, it is 38 kilos. And I'll show you the picture of the scale on screen in a second. The other aspect of a custom built battery in regards to what is needed is, look, capacity is one thing, physical size is one thing, the weight is one thing, but the other thing is to talk about is the battery management system. The battery management system, or the BMS, is responsible for under discharge and over discharge, and overcharge. So it will actually stop the power when the battery gets too low to protect the cells from getting over discharge and you damage the cells, or overcharge. So whatever current you're pulling or charging has to go through the BMS system. So with this client, he wants to run a coffee machine in the morning, and at the moment, I just want to stop and make note that currently the customer has a generator which he has to pull out every time he wants to run high wattage appliances. So now with our battery that's able to handle all the high current appliances that he wants to use, he can get rid of the generator and have it all in one solution via the battery. Of course, with an inverter that's capable of the wattage he needs. A coffee machine in the morning, and at the moment he can't do it with his lead acid because it's too much power. When you're converting, let's say his coffee machine, we looked at it last time, was 1,200 or 1,400. 1,400, so 1.4 kilowatt, 1,400 watts. So you divide that by 12 volts, and then you're looking at about 100 and maybe 120, 130 amps or so. So with that, we had to have a battery management system that can handle that high amperage. So we've got one in there that can handle 200 amps, and we've used heavy duty copper core wire cabling inside that can handle the high current. So everything is made for a specific use. So that's what we've done as well. So I'll give you a quick run through. There we go. Beautiful battery. Absolutely stunning. This is a small footprint. Talk about footprint. There we go. I'm a size 41, 42. And there you go. My hands there. Just to go through a bit more in details of the comparison between what he had, the lead acid. He had 6 volt lead acids. He had 4 of them. So he had a 6 volt 220 amp hour, another 6 volt 220 amp hour, and he had two of them. He had two bays of this size, so he basically had a 12 volt 220 and another 12 volt 220. So in total 12 volt 440 amp hour, which he had. Now with that, having the weight of 130 kilos versus a single or half the size, and with the weight it's only 38 kilos versus 130 kilos, at 440 of the lead acid he only could use half if he wanted to keep the 350, 400 or so life cycle that is recommended by the manufacturer. That's basically, yeah, discharge under 50% and charge again. So 50% depth of discharge, DOD. So if, and then the customer actually mentioned to me that he always tried not to hit the 50% mark, and which means he had to really careful with the power he used. And at times when he, on extended trips, he had to go below 50, but he always tried, always on his mind not to go under the 50% mark. So, but with this now, so at a 440 amp hour, which he had with the lead acid deep cycle, he could only utilize 220 and have a good life cycle out of it. So I think that those batteries, he had them for about 5 years. So pretty good run for his money. And that's all based on how often you discharge it, how often you use it, of course. But with lithium iron phosphate, you can be sure that you can run 450 amps out of it, and you still get your 2,000 cycles. And if you don't hit the full depth of discharge, guess what? That 2,000 goes up exponentially. So with half the weight, not half the weight, my bad, with half the size, because this goes into one of the bays, all right? He's got 450 amp hour, which you can use from start to finish as many times as you want. So he can basically not lose sleep regarding power. He can use it, and his wife can run the hairdryer whenever she wants to, do the washing. They've got an onboard washing machine, and they can make coffee as often as they like, within reasons, of course. Yeah, that's the comparison. Beautiful 304 stainless steel case, riveted with stainless steel. So this whole thing is stainless. The actual casing of the whole enclosure is stainless, and we'll be doing the install this afternoon, and we'll get back to you with a photo or a video of the install after we're done. Yeah, thank you. He goes, what can you fit in the bays? The maximum you can fit. So I crunched the numbers, and I told him you can fit 900 amp hour into the space that you've already got. 900 amp hour at 12 volt. That is a whopping amount of power for a motorhome. And then after the discussion, I said, look, you're already using essentially 220, half of your 440. Now you've got a 450, which you can fully use. Don't just blow your money. Get one of these, and later on, if you find that you want to do more trips, extended trips, etc., put another one in next to it. I've got the specs. You can build another one exactly the same. Basically, you get another one, plonk it into the other bay, custom built to fit the frame or the bay, and we just connect these two in parallel, and you've got 900 amp hour at 12 volts. So that is what we can do. Custom built. If you have any needs, whether it's storage batteries, whether it's camper van, any solar projects, hit us up, and then we can have a discussion after that. Now, the customer on his motorhome, he has solar power. He has 500 watts of solar on his roof. So 500 watts of solar, actually I did explain to him, your 500 watts, you're not going to get 500 watts, minus 25-30% straight away for the efficiency loss. So at 500 watts, minus 25 to 30%, that's what you can get maximum out of a good situation where you've got a perfect cloudless day. The temperature is 25 degrees because the power of the solar panel is rated at 25 degrees. So every degree you go up from 25, 26, 27, 28, 30 degree day, 35 degree day, 36 degree day, you lose efficiency. You can look that up and you can sort of calculate yourself. And having said that, the angle of the sun, 90 degrees from the sun, so the sun's shining, 90 degrees hitting the solar panel. And because his solar panels are fixed on his his motorhome roof, it's fixed. And when you park your car, you want to park in the shade, generally speaking. So the situation where I always prefer to have solar panels which you can remove and you can chase the sun during the day. If you're at camp, you can actually move it around, move it every 2 hours or so, or every 3 hours. It's better that the angle being set in one position from morning to afternoon. You miss out on a lot, and that makes a lot of difference. So with his 500 watt solar panel, much less than that, since it's on a fixed position on his roof, he does pop it up on an angle, and then it stays there for the whole day. So with that and this size 450, yeah, it's it should give him pretty close to unlimited power if he gets enough sun during the day. And yeah, but if he does need more in the future, he can go double. You get 900 amp hour. But look, he's surviving already with his 440 lead acid, which is 220, with his solar panel setup and everything. So what we will do is just change his solar charge controller to an MPPT. He's using PWM, which is not a very good conversion, losing a lot of power there, efficiency. And then we're going to go with the MPPT, solar charge controller, and I'm also going to do a DC to DC charge controller from his car. So there will be a smart switch which senses when the engine is started, then the alternator is going to charge this battery and will set at what amperage you want to charge this at. So as he's driving, his fridge is running, whatever other stuff is running, usually just the fridge, and then that will be always full. So when he turns the engine off, the battery can be guaranteed that when he left home to the campsite or wherever he is off-grid, the battery is full. Thank you.